But then, there are cases where people go outside to get away from that. You know what I'm saying? They're not going outside to project what they're going through on another child. They could just be going outside just to find a release to get away from that world.
Right, but that's not the likely situation in my opinion. I think that if there's a kid who's being abused at home, he's not going to go out and be, now I'm outside, so I'm happy, and I'm not going to go hit that kid. I think they're more than likely going to take the abuse and trauma, and they're going to go abuse and traumatize someone else.
Yeah. With that, but I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Going back to the dating part. I had brought up when they were talking about the black women kind of being they say the right hand to white men, or basically used to keep black men out of white spaces.
Incarcerate black men.
That is pretty much the music industry right now. That's sexy red.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
that's a real thing. What I thought about a little bit too is have you ever thought about the fact that I think a lot of black culture exists in somewhat of a matriarchy?
The matriarchy.
Yeah.
Matriarchy again?
Because
it depends on how you frame it. Because the black men absolutely have no power.
That's the thing.
So yeah,
because we don't have that much. We don't have really power over our women the same way that other groups do.
You have power over your women, your children, your culture,
and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that if you go off the single mother statistics, over 70% of households in the black community are ran by women. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the women and men are raised under the ideals of the woman.
Which is strong.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I think also kind of plays into this cycle that we're kind of trapped in, where it kind of reflects. I don't want to just make it seem like I'm ragging on just the women, because I know it's a two-pronged issue, but if you believe that a lot of strong societal foundations are built on 1-2 parent households and a male leader, then that is always going to be an issue with how the children are brought up. Because if the children are brought up not knowing how to respect male authority or men, and they usually have reference for just the female of the family, and they push for more of the female ideals and things, they're not going to have an appreciation one, for the importance of having 2-parent households, and then they're not going to have an appreciation for, I guess, the importance of knowing how roles in society can attribute to success. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just going to reinforce, because that's why you have a lot of women, I think, that grow up with this idea. If you notice, they don't look a lot of times, even when they get older, they don't look to get married or be in relationships. I'm sure they would like it, but a lot of times you talk to an average girl when she's getting to her 30s or something, she'll usually say I want to have a baby before she's I want to get married. Mm-hmm. Or that's why you have baby daddy culture, where it's not uncommon for most girls to be walking around saying this ain't my boyfriend or this ain't my husband, this my baby daddy, or girls literally having baby daddies before they have any type of relationship with a man. They're not even seeking that.
Well, I just think the standard is collectively lowered, right? After generations of the standard being just gradually dropped, now it's a noticeable drop. It isn't even shameful to say I've got 2 baby daddies, no husband, and
right.
I survive off of whatever they contribute in my job. It's
and then another thing is that I think not just how the women come up, but the women that are raising the men, if single parent households directly correlates with incarceration rates. Mm-hmm. And the ones who go to jail are the men. Black men go to jail at a high level, and it correlates with the amount of them that actually are raised in single mother households. So it's they're not really doing a good job at raising these kids. They kind of grow up very emotionally unstable and don't have any idea about how to, I guess, be contributing responsible members of society, and that's why they usually end up going down the wrong path.
I think that perfectly circles back to Steven's point earlier about essentially being able to develop
release trauma, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Where is their outlet if that amount of stress is truly prevalent?
Yeah,
I think sports. It's interesting because it's back then you probably had options maybe you could play sports, They had video games at that point, but it wasn't like anything intensive that you could really fully get invested in.
Not
You
much
could probably
organization available.
get into reading. Like there are a lot of things, but it was like the barrier to
70s too.
the
It's
barrier
not
for the barrier for entry in the
assets.
70s was probably like really high to like get into a hobby that could let you release stress or
Well, there weren't many organizations due to our discourse from the war. So there wasn't that much infrastructure for like a boys and girls club even to be established for somewhere to actually go, and I mean gyms for even like for instance.
Yeah.
Like where was anyone going besides the library until Reagan stopped that?
Right. Yeah, you would have like the library, maybe the library.
And Reagan was like, Black
you had-
Panthers, stop going there.
I think back then though, like most people probably just kind of like found things to do outside, like in a very general sense. Like people just went on walks, tried to do
Right,
hangouts,
but like if you
created
don't
like
have
little
if,
clubs,
if
or
you don't
whatever.
have like a
Clubs,
strong
chess and stuff.
If you don't have a strong family upbringing and good emotional stability, I think being outside is negative. I think it's a net negative
Difficult.
for everyone involved.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Very
It's
much.
definitely I would say it's difficult to say the least. At least it's a hurdle socially, without a legitimate I
Well,
guess,
Roosevelt said how,
Yeah,
and the
how is
answer
it
is because
difficult?
other people are outside and you are emotionally unstable. So
But why
now
do you-
you're interacting with other people and causing
how do you
problems.
connect with people?
I mean, I don't think that just because you're going through. I mean, there is cases where you feel me, like somebody can be going through something at home and they'll go outside and they'll basically project what they going through in their personal life on that person that's probably not going through any of those things or are very unfamiliar with that world. But then, there are cases where people go outside to get away from that. You know what I'm saying? They not going outside to project what they going through on another child. They could just be going outside just to find a release to get away from that world.
Right, but that's not the likely situation, in my opinion. I think that if there's a kid who's being abused at home, he's not going to go out and be, now I'm outside, so I'm happy, and I'm not going to go hit that kid. Like, I think they're more than likely going to take the abuse and trauma, and they're going to go abuse and traumatize someone else.
Yeah.
or experiment with drugs heavily.
Yeah.
Or abuse themselves,
I think to Steve's point, like the idea that going outside, like in a general sense, it's not like bad to go outside, but I think what he no, you're good. but I think what he's actually what he's saying is that that's why people want to move to good neighborhoods to raise their kids, or they want to move away from other people, because a lot of how your thoughts and what you're gonna do and learn is gonna be dictated by the people you live around and how the society you live in operates. So like if you're if you're like a father and you have kids and you raised your kids right, you're gonna be very cautious if you live in a very bad neighborhood and a majority of the kids in that neighborhood are raised by either like morons, criminals, idiots, people that you don't like associating with, who raised other like bad apples, because usually all it takes is one bad apple to spoil the bunch. So that's why it's like people will tend to want to be around like-minded people, because you can absolutely get corrupted by living in a neighborhood that is not like any way conducive to your own mindset, or the only way to actually fit into your community is to adapt to like whatever laurels they live by, which aren't always going to be positive. Right. So, like I said, I've seen a lot of people that seem like they're on a good path, and then it's like you meet them years later and it's like they just completely went left, because it's like they just happened to, be stuck growing up in an environment that was only going to curate them turning out that way.
And it's crazy because it's really tricky to avoid, especially in the modern age with like, no fault divorce and stuff like that, where it's like the marriage is almost set up to crumble in most situations. So now it used to be probably in the 70s and times like that, it was like, okay, well, just try to keep your household in order, keep your kids away from certain other people, protect them, and try to do your best. But now it's like the world is in your house, right? Like everything outside is now inside, because you can just consume whatever you want all the time. Like, pornography is a good example. Obviously, kids exposed to porn when they're like 4 years old end up being hypersexual. When they're young and stuff like that.
I was like, wow, 4 years old, man.
I mean, hey, bro, people have cell phones at 4 years old.
Yeah.
I don't even want to imagine.
Yeah, that's.
Watch your children. If you're a parent right now, watch them.
Yeah.
Watch what they watch.
Look at them right now.
Yeah, the amount of
Please,
influence.
what are they watching?
Or just going to school. Like, imagine being like, I guarantee you, if you go to a let's say, first grade, there's going to be some kid in that class that has terrible parents who is showing porn to all the other kids. Right? It's almost unavoidable.
Yeah. There's always that kid.
It's a human related issue. Like humans as a species will always struggle for the most part with emotional regulation. It's just natural. Whether you're going outside, whether you're staying inside, as long as there's external factors, anything to stimulate your emotions, you're gonna struggle or have some sort of issues with it. So. It's an ongoing battle that it's an ongoing battle that literally will never end.
But it's just figuring out how to externalize that trauma in a way that doesn't harm yourself or other people. That's like the main difficulty.
Yeah,
and it's like
and being better.
But you also have to care about that. If you don't care about that, you're going to externalize the trauma in any way that you can, which is because it's so easy, since it has the lowest barrier to entry, you're more likely to do that. And that's why you have, so much similar situations within black relationships, black families, and stuff like that. But I feel like we should get into the next.
I was going to say, what do you think the outlet for externalizing trauma was like in this era for when they're discussing?
That's what I was saying. I was like, the outlets would be like going outside and messing with people's stuff.
So limited. To
like
you going outside like I said,
and doing drugs. You could play sports. You could read books. A lot of people aren't equipped to play sports. A lot of people are bored by reading books. Playing with your friends or doing stuff with your friends. Like, what can you do with your friends really outside in the 1970s? You can walk around. You say you're a teenager in the 1970s. What are you gonna do outside?
They make games. Yeah. They make
as
games
a teen.
As a teen,
yes.
Yeah. You outside. You feel me? You chilling. You maybe smoking cigarettes. Shit you're not supposed to.
Okay, boom, right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But no, I was just
smoking with cigarettes.
That's just me just talking.
But no, you literally would smoke a cigarette. You would start smoking some weed, and then
might go try a beer.
But that is just to look cool. That's not. Oh, I'm stressed out at home, so let me smoke a cigarette with my boys, my teen boys. Like, nah, I feel like they would just be outside. Like, you would literally just be outside. Maybe talk to some girls, because girls would be outside. Or
I think ironically,
come up with games.
Ironically, in this era, maybe some of this discourse led to more organization for racial benefits. Like the Black Panther Party truly was at its strongest, and I just gotta say, it's refreshing to say the least to see this kind of conversation even existing between men and women.
Oh yeah,
nonetheless. Of color. Like,
but it's funny because it's seemingly refreshing, but then at the same time, it's like these men were hopeful. They were like, the next generation of black men won't be putting up with these aggressive women.
Don't show
and
them.
And then, spoiler alert, that's literally what they got for the next 50 years. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of these problems stem from what was the Roosevelt mentioned? Like going outside. You guys were talking about that and like trauma release and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But usually the go-to for most humans for trauma release is either you're going to bury it, you're going to, you're going to do some sort of activity that gets your mind off of it so you don't think about it. You could channel it into something else. But what people really don't do is improve. And that's the pretty much only correct option almost ever.
Yeah.
It's the only way to go.
Yeah, but like improve as a basic term means that you would have to have some level. It's like, say you were trying to walk upstairs, but you don't have legs, right? And you got to get some legs installed. It's like, how can you improve if you don't even know how to? Like, how can you get up?
You have
the
a
stairs?
brain, so you can.
Right, but you don't know how to use your brain. My metaphor was terrible, by the way.
I'll say it better. I was gonna say, like, I think with the improvement thing, a lot of times you don't see improvement, and I think people in general do this really well, is because improvement takes first
reflection.
Acknowledging,
it takes acknowledgement and reflection.
Your weaknesses.
Which isn't taught.
It's
not taught at all.
No, but it is exhibited.
Thinks or cares.
Yeah, we don't
conversations like
we don't acknowledge a lot of our issues in the black community, or we try to brush it off as something else.
Yeah, or say we didn't do it. It wasn't us.
Yeah, exactly. And so without that acknowledgement first, there is no improvement. There's either just like expressing it in another type of way, or like you said, channeling it or burying it, where we just don't acknowledge it and keep things going. Like, can the black community admit that Sexy Red is not good for it? Back to her.
They'll struggle to achieve that. Yeah. I think that'll be a cold day in hell when they actually fully because she's too empowered right now.
I don't think most issues. Can we say that? Sorry to cut you off. Too. Yeah, like can we say that we have a abysmal marriage rate? People should be married more. Should we say like the average woman should not have more than one baby daddy? Should we, when you say those things, those are things people don't want to say like is a bad thing. We'll always either try to find a substitute saying like, well, it's not that bad, or but what about this, that, and the other. It's like you either shift blame, you either dumb down the ramifications, but you never say it's wrong.
Technically speaking, you kind of have a point, but I feel like everything you're saying is internalized white supremacy.
You're right.
I wish I could have kept my face straight. I was trying so hard. Yeah, that's actually internalized white supremacy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But if y'all have anything to take away from this, it's if you're not improving, you're just going back in the past. So because if
you're not moving forward, you're
all right. Let's see this
still.
next one. We probably gotta. Yeah, let's just get through it.
We want to work, we can help.
Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
You don't want to live on the level of income that I can afford you and love me on the basis of that. You want to always be inspired to have all those things that's a part of the great middle-class white American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
What is this nonsense? That was crazy.
This is any conversation today. This is
literally
eerie.
That was wild because, like, if you look at the two halves of the conversation, at first she's like, "I will take whatever I can get from a man," and then it's like, "I don't care about what he has. I care about how he treats me." It's like she's literally two-faced.
I think she's. I
don't think. I'm not saying she meant it financially. She
was saying it like she will get, as long as you allow it to happen, she will do it.
Yeah.
So if you don't stop her, she will do something. I guess
to excel what she can get in life. Essentially, if she sees luxuries, she will try to get those luxuries if she can.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I don't think it's about the luxuries. I think she was saying like,
I don't want to assume
it's in general.
what you're saying.
No, she was, because if you take it with the context of the last video, they're clearly talking about the professional woman not wanting to raise the kids, taking over the role of the man, being the leader of the household, or as my dad would put it, wearing the pants. Right? She's saying, if you're going to let me take your pants off and put them on myself, then I am going to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that if you basically just castrate a man in that situation, like, okay, like she's saying it passively, right? But she wants those pants and she will take them.
She will. Yeah, she's
I don't think she necessarily wants the pants.
Yeah, she's like the booty warrior, I like shit and I want it.
I kind of agree with Roosevelt on this one. I feel like the tone of voice was almost suggesting, like, listen, someone's got to wear the pants,
right?
But men will step back and go ahead and put those pants on
right, because
it
sounds
on the dresser.
Sweet.
So I'm going to put them on.
But it sounds sweet, right? It sounds like, oh, I can have my woman wear the pants or whatever, and I don't have to do anything. And there's a lot of men who will accept that. But I think if you're dating in your early 20s, for example, which was the most common back then, you're dating before your 20s, early 20s. You're basically stealing the opportunity from the man to grow that level of skill and maturity to be able to lead in a relationship. And now you've basically you took his opportunity to figure it out, and now you're taking all the experience and learning it yourself. So you set yourself up for failure in that situation, because now the man's never going to wear the pants because you fit him too well.
I don't think you take it. I don't think it's being taken. It's just like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. It's like you don't go into the relationship unless that's already worked out. You know what I'm saying? It's not the opportunity that's being taken. It's just you didn't have it.
Bro, that's not how life works. You don't just instantly have all of the skills you need to be in a relationship.
Right, but it's like, if that is the result, you can't blame it on her.
You can't.
She can't say, "Oh, well, let me step back."
Your character is your character.
Let me step back and let
it
him
never
figure
changes,
it out
on
his own.
change.
Or you basically saying, like,
by
the female stepping up and wearing the pants that's just there for anybody to wear.
Right.
It's like, okay, you taking away my opportunity to learn how to wear those pants. When it's like, I mean, if the drive wasn't there for you to do so, then
but that's a different situation. If you're with a man who has no desire to wear the pants at all, okay, sure, then just, I would say don't be with him. He needs to learn the hard way. But so either way, it's her fault. Basically, she shouldn't be with the guy who won't wear the pants, because in the end, it's detrimental to the entire culture. Or if the man is, he's trying to lose weight to fit the pants on, right? Then she needs to step back, even though because okay, most women are going to be smaller than the men, so the woman, she probably could fit the pants at the moment, right? She can be aggressive and take over and run things, but then you're emasculating the man, so he's not able to grow into the man he needs to be in the future.
You know what?
I don't know. I don't think a woman is taking away a man's opportunity.
A woman by nature.
Okay, so how does he do
that?
So how does the woman?
Women by nature don't.
So how can both of them be in the lead? How can both of them wear the pants? It's not possible.
I'm not saying that they both can be in the lead. I'm just saying
exchange of energy.
It's like basketball.
You know what's really
finish your thing? That was a finish.
If a man is stepping into a relationship and he's putting the pants on the table, and then the woman says, "Okay, well, you're not gonna wear these, so I'm gonna wear them because I have the initiative. I'm taking the initiative to do so."
Okay, well now the woman's become a man.
But she's not taking anything from that man. She
took the pants.
Maybe what if she has to? What if he nutted in her and gave her a baby? Now she got no choice but to step up and wear the pants. Then what?
She shouldn't have let him do that.
Well,
you know what?
Sometimes it's like jump ball.
Back to take the kid out of the equation, because that's a completely different scenario. And if the man puts the pants on the table and they're both standing there like, who's gonna take the pants? She should say, you should take the pants. And if you're not gonna take the pants, I'm gonna leave. She shouldn't put the damn pants on and run the house.
I mean, but see, maybe she shouldn't. But at the same time, you have women that's stronger. It's levels to it. You have a woman that's like, okay, well, I'm not wearing these pants, so I'm gonna leave. And then you have women that's like, okay, you don't want to wear them, and I'll wear them.
Yeah, he's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
right,
she's
but
not wrong.
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. You're saying that, like, okay, sometimes you have situations where women are aggressive and strong-headed and they think they want to lead the family, and then, obviously
they desire to.
Huh?
They desire to. Yeah. They desire to have a leadership
I wish I could
role.
fly. But
I
can't.
But you basically saying those type of women are taking opportunities away from a man to be able to, I guess, grow and learn how to wear the pants. But I don't see that.
You know what's funny is I realize why these our conversations never actually lead anywhere, and it's because if you think about it, both sides are like speaking from an like a lens of cooperation. Like they're trying to find compromise and cooperate on how to make this work.
Common ground.
But if you listen to what she said, she doesn't want to cooperate, because it's like you can't say, because cooperation, what she's basically saying is like, if you guys want to lead, which I would be perfectly fine with you leading, but I'm not going to give you any leeway in trying to attain that. If you want to lead, you got to take it. And trust me, I'll fight you every step of the way.
It's like a jump ball.
That's not cooperation. That's basically saying that she's coming from like almost a position of power, where she's like, I know you want to be the leader, but if you inherently becoming the leader puts me in a position of subservience, which no person wants. So it's like, of course she's never gonna be like, yeah, I'll let you lead, and I won't fight it, because she loses power inherently. The ideal situation for her is basically to just live how she lives and have the man compensate for all her shortcomings and fallacies without ever pressuring her to do more. That's the ideal circumstance for her from her perspective, which isn't cooperation. It's essentially entitlement. Let me be how I am, and you pick up the pieces that fall out.
Right, and I hate to say it, but it's like sexual market value thing, as the red pill would put it, where it's like, okay, she can lead the ship, right? She can wear the pants. She can, presumably lead them to destruction in certain situations, but obviously that won't happen every time. Sometimes it'll work out. But if it doesn't work out, guess what? She can leave and she can just go get another man.
Exactly.
It does not matter at all. There are no consequences technically. She may love the guy, she may value him, they may have kids, but guess what? She will still leave. She can still leave.
So
really.
is she wrong? Would she be wrong for stepping up and trying to?
Absolutely.
Well, my thing, I was gonna say, last part was from the man's side though. It's like their issue from the male argument is always the problem to me is that you can't ask to be a leader. You just you either because like if I have to sit here and negotiate with why I should lead you, then I must not actually have the value or the merit to be over you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to sit here and ask you to let me lead. I would just lead, or you would just follow.
I think there's a caveat to that though, because it's like the man hasn't the situation where it's like you're not obviously going to be like, hey, can I lead you in this relationship? But it would be like, hey, do I want to be your
follower?
Your monogamous spouse.
Yeah.
That's the part where it's like an interview where it's like, I could lead you. I could learn how to lead and be a good leader. For you, maybe not. And then you go to someone else. But once you make the commitment, it's like you're engaging with the process of learning how to lead in a relationship and lead in a family. Yeah. But my thought is that men will... In a relationship context, I think the men are going to be more likely to lead in a way that is prosperous. Mm-hmm. The women are more likely to lead in a way that gets them the results they wanted. I don't know if that makes sense, but they will get the results they want, but the results that they want may be misinformed. The men will lead in a direction that is set. The direction can be set by the woman. Like if they're collaborating, the woman can say, hey, I want to go this way. And he'll say, do I want to go that way? And if he agrees we should go that way, he'll get them there faster. If the woman wants to go that way, they'll get halfway there, and then they'll die.
I mean, I would say that, but
that's a bit extreme.
Well, what I'll say is this. I get what Steve said. Steve's just saying it straight. He's not sugarcoating. He's like, listen, they'll just make better leaders.
They'll get halfway to the destination, and then a guy on a horse shows up, and she's like, I'm going to go on a horse.
There's a better leader, and then there's...
Yeah. But
when you were in the... I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Okay. When you're in like a group of men, you don't just say, oh, who's going to be the leader? Usually you're doing a project or whatever in school. Somebody steps up and is like, okay, let's do this, do that. I got some ideas, yada, yada, yada. And then things get moving. Yeah. But in terms of the woman's thing that you were just talking about, what were you just saying, Zoe?
Oh, I was saying like women they're actually not coming from a lens of cooperation. They just want to basically act how they act. And they basically say like, if you want to lead, then you need to, then step up and lead then. Basically, ideally they will want to have a situation where they act as they want to without compromise, and then you just step in as the man and pick up the pieces where she falls short, and that's like the ideal circumstance where she gets everything, and then you have to basically pick up for what she doesn't have. But that's not like true cooperation, and I get it because, like I said, for a woman to basically want to submit, it's basically saying I want to give my power away. And I think it all kind of goes back to the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of, like, in the black culture, the women don't respect the men. Black women don't respect men enough to feel comfortable letting us lead.
So, and then Stephen, I guess, point is, like, that's the women's fault for that. Yeah. Effectively.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but the men can also do better. Do you think the men also have a portion in that?
Well, the men can do better, but they need the women to inspire them to do better. It's like, I was doing a podcast the other day with some clients. No, I was doing a podcast with some clients the other day, and the guys were basically like, man, they bust it open after one date. I don't need to do anything more than the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. That goes back to the point of women training men to be the most effective leaders they can be, right? Like Roosevelt was saying, he was saying like, oh well, if the woman just does everything, it's like you can take you can take it out. Hold on, you can take it out of the context of a intimate relationship, right? Say it's a mother and a son. Okay, so the mother does everything for the son. The mother washes his butt, cleans his room, fixes his toys, whatever, anything he needs done. She tells him what women want, all these other different things. And now he goes out into the world, and the mom was completely wrong about all of it, except maybe cleaning the room. And now the son has a weird perception of how to manage his own life because he got dragged into, he may not have wanted to clean his room. He may not have wanted to fix his toys or make his breakfast or brush his teeth or wash his ass. He may not have wanted to do it at the time, but there's going to be a point where he needs to do it. And I'm not even saying this in the silo of a single relationship. If in every relationship a man is in, the woman is wearing the pants, he's never going to learn. But he could have went from one to the next, learning each time.
This sounds like you're
like,
agreeing with this girl.
I feel like an insufficient father could do the same thing, though. An insufficient father can have the same amount of damage on the child as a woman who is leading, but might be leading in the wrong way, but she's leading nonetheless because there's no man to lead. It's true.
Yeah, and to your other analogy, like the men, like you just had the dude said the other day that he can just crack on the first date. Mm-hmm. Right, but what if he changed his mind that he didn't want to crack on the first date, or he made the woman wait?
But he has no incentive to do that.
Right, but what if he did that?
That'd be cool, but he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any incentive to do that, though.
Still, regardless of the incentive, it would change the culture. It would change women to wait. Yeah.
It's
interesting.
Well,
I feel like
it goes both ways.
But that just denies biology. Like literally, it's like, what if men were being offered sex on an endless basis,
but
with an expenditure of $50?
Change can only happen when things are done differently.
I say
matter.
But the women don't even want to have the sex.
Yes, they do.
on
Biologically
the
coded to do it. When they're ovulating. Biologically coded.
If I kind of like,
not all women on first dates are ovulating. For one, and two, rarely do women actually want to have sex on a first date. Yeah, all right, they are having sex so that they can have the man's attention. They want something other than the sex. Not to say women don't like sex and all the other stuff, but they don't want to give it up on the first date. They want more out of the man, and they won't get that unless they have sex on the first date.
You don't want to do it, you wouldn't do it.
But you know what though? I feel like you can't fault either side because, like we've talked about in the past, I feel like black culture is in a perpetual destruction. Yeah. It's in a cycle of perpetual destruction. It's like you can't blame the men, you can't blame the women. It's the culture.
It's the culture around it.
It's the culture around it. It's who's pulling the strings, who's running the show. That is really the cause of all of this.
Right, but that's in direct contrast to what Lizzie was saying.
Well, no,
it really circles back to them trying to program each other.
Yeah,
no one's taking accountability or finding a middle ground.
No one's trying to improve or get better. Either you improve and get better, or you do the exact same shit and complete the cycle.
Right,
very simple.
Well, actually,
the cycle is just being complete over and over and over.
Yeah.
Again.
To kind of focus, because I did want to ask you guys, like, because
can I just throw in one more thing based on that last part?
Go
right.
For it.
So I see this clearly as the woman wants the cycle to continue. The men want the cycle broken. I don't think there's any way to perceive otherwise.
Men. Yeah. She was saying we need to reprogram men, and they were like, we need to reprogram women. It sounds like they both want change.
Well, she fundamentally doesn't believe that women leading is an issue. The guy believes that women leading is an issue. That's why that's where the disconnect is. He's like he wants to break that cycle because he believes the issues coming about is because women aren't submitting to the men. She doesn't see that as the issue. So that's why she's like saying there may be a problem, but it's not because we're leading, it's because of something else, and she's going to probably say it's the guys.
In reality, everyone's subservient to the capitalist system that we're working in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they was just scratching the surface back then too. Like for them to be having this conversation, it's like that conversation now is like times 10, and it's a whole bunch of external factors.
Yeah. So many more, yeah.
So it's like you feel me?
To kind of ask this question, I know the crux of this this whole debate and the rhetoric in general is why don't the black women respect black men enough to feel safe, being led. I think that's what it always comes down to. To what you guys were saying earlier, with the whole sex thing, I'm like, women. I believe women have a sex drive. The sex drive isn't as high as men, but I think any woman is still gonna want to have sex, with the caveat being that she has to be highly attracted to the guy that she wants to have sex with. Because no woman, I think wants to feel like a hoe. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times it's going to be, how your mouthpiece is to kind of get her in bed, and a combination with how she views you as an attractive person past just like the sex, but like, does she see you as someone that she can entertain long term?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this second part of the series on black dating in the 70s. This second part of the conversation definitely had some different territory covered in terms of the whole black dating movement back then and now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. There is one more part of the conversation to be released soon. Definitely excited for you guys to leave your comments and let us know how you feel about the conversation that we had. Of course, we don't mean to demean or be derogatory towards women in any way whatsoever, especially me. I know I may have said some things that could conflate with that idea or contradict with that idea, but overall, we're just trying to start a conversation that could be effective or meaningful or helpful to black men and women that do decide to date each other. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms at The Code Podcast and Patreon, The Code Podcast, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find audio or video. Thanks for watching and tuning in. See you later.